Hello and welcome to part 4 of the 17-inch MacBook Pro series. And in today's episode, we will be experimenting with this Vega 56 eGPU. Let's get to it. Anyway guys, welcome to another episode in this series where we are now going to be trying to run this eGPU on this monitor here. The reason why I've got this 23-inch cinema display right here is because it's an apples to apples comparison to the main screen, and we will be trying to compare the GPU on the actual MacBook with this, and I wanted it to stay the same resolution the whole time. This is really hard to talk to you guys behind this because this GPU, even though it's not set up yet, is already on and running at full blast, and it's really distracting. Anyway, so today we'll be running this Vega 56 on this 23-inch cinema display. They're both 1900 by 1200. This and the screen that's built into the actual laptop. So this should be an interesting apples to apples comparison, and hopefully it all works out. So let's see how Kryptonite works in Monterey and see if it actually still works, because I have no clue if it will or not. So let's get to it. All right guys, we're on the MacBook Pro here, and we've switched it back over to dark mode so we can actually film the thing. Let's go over to the browser here. We need to download Kryptonite off of eGPU.io, and I got to figure out where it is. So yeah, hi. We're going to downgrade to High Sierra. I think I know the problem. The problem is there's a conflict between metal and non-metal. It's not a problem when you have all metal or all non-metal, but when you're mixing them past Mojave, I've experienced the systems just locking up. So we're going to open up High Sierra, which is definitely a downgrade, but we're going to just install it on a separate partition for now, and just see how it works. I didn't want to do it this way, but we have no choice, so yeah. Okay, so we've installed High Sierra. I installed it through OpenCore Legacy Patcher just so I could use USB 3 to install it quicker. But after that, I'm totally bypassing OpenCore. I just installed Purge Wrangler the way it's supposed to work. This is the first boot up. Let's see if it actually works now. It might take a second, and it may not work at all, but I'm thinking it will. Ta-da! This is the first time I've had the cinema display on in a long time, and that's not good. It hasn't been on in like 3 years. There's a lot of discoloration around it. It's dying. It's a shame. Anywho, about this Mac. displays. Radeon 9600. Radeon RX Vega 56. So, if I change this display setup to use the other display as the main display and actually arrange this properly, this goes above it, like so. And then we move the main display up there. Now, if we move up here, and we go to info, Radeon RX Vega 56. So that's a good sign. Now, real quick, why did this work in High Sierra when it wouldn't work on anything else? High Sierra was the last operating system that supported both Metal and OpenCL GPUs. When you went to Mojave, that problem became very apparent if you were mixing the two cards together, like if you were running a Mac Pro with two different supported GPUs. It would just freeze. They apparently never fixed it. High Sierra hasn't been updated security-wise in 3 years, but believe it or not, it still is supported on Steam. So we can still run Steam, and we can still run everything we need to do on this system with High Sierra, even though I didn't want to do it this way. This is apparently the only way you can run an eGPU on this system, which kind of sucks, but well, we'll work around it. And of course, we can run this in Windows, and it should, in theory, work fine. When we do the official update with DOS Dude, we won't have this problem anymore. And in fact, I figured out that the reason why Ventura didn't support Kryptonite is because the AMD drivers. But the AMD drivers get patched with OpenCore now, so that might not be a problem now. So, yeah. But yeah, we're in High Sierra. We're running on Vega 56. Let's start playing around with it and see what we can do. It's just a really neat sight to see there. And it works quite well. There's the Vega 56. So, we're both running, both LCDs are running in the same size, so that works too. So we are going to actually play around with this and see what happens. Alright, so we're going to start by running Unigine Valley in Ultra HD on the HD 3000. This was bad on the HD 4000. It's going to be a lot worse on this, especially on a higher resolution. Oh boy. And it has already frozen. It's not a good sign. There it goes. There's no video. It's getting 5 FPS. That's not bad. Turn the sound off. Benchmark. Well, you guys are going to enjoy looking at a black screen for a while. It's getting 4 FPS, but it's actually not rendering anything on this GPU. It's bad. We'll still benchmark it and see how fast it does it. And we are still getting 5.2 FPS, probably because it's not rendering anything. So if anything, technically it's doing better than the HD 4000 did. But that doesn't mean a whole lot, because it's not actually doing anything. It's a great great benchmark to run on this. The GPU's not even getting hot because it's not rendering anything. This is kind of a pointless test, but we'll still do an apples to apples comparison. Hey, we're halfway there. Yeah, it's bad. It's very, very bad. GPU still hasn't even. It's running. It's idle. It's totally idle. I knew it was going to be bad. I didn't know it was going to be this bad. This is bad. Scene 14 out of 18. Yeah, it's benchmarking great. Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's the most enjoyable, most entertaining benchmark I've ever watched. Wow, it's so bad. We're on 16 out of 18. And we're on 18 out of 18 as of right now. So we're at the end of the test. It's done 900 and some frames. Yeah, that's not a very accurate score, but yeah, we'll take it. So let's close that. Quit. Now what we're going to do is move you guys up here to this one. This should be a big difference. Let's try to line you up. Tilt this up a little bit. Zoom out a bit. Now, there's one thing with this cinema display, like all cinema displays, they aren't made for gaming. So we're not going to get super accurate tests and stuff, but it should still give us a general idea what we're going to get. These displays max out at 60 FPS, then they screen tear like crazy. I know because I used to game on this thing, apparently before it started discoloring. So let's run it again. It's actually rendering now. That's a good sign. Let's benchmark it. Uh-oh. Saw a little artifacting there. Yeah, it's not bad. It's getting 50 FPS. It's bottlenecking like crazy. Oh, there's some more artifacting. Huh. I mean, it's still doing it. And it's doing it a lot better. Ooh. Whoa. Uh-oh. You know what? Let's stop this real quick. I think I know one problem that's going on here. Escape. Quit. Let's close it out and then try to reopen it. And then try to run it because it's reading a different GPU temperature. And I'm trying to figure out if that's the problem here. Yeah, the GPU, it's just not even reading the temperature on it. But you can hear it speeding up. Let's actually try it and see what happens. Worst thing that happens is it just spits it out. I'm not sure why it's artifacting, but we'll let it do its thing. It's not quite as bad artifacting this time. It's definitely not reading the right temperature, though. And the whole time it's doing this, we're at scene 8 out of 18. It's still on the main desktop down here. So, Yeah, it's so weird to see it this way. But yeah, it's doing its thing. I don't think it's the card that's causing the artifacting. I think it's the driver. It's not happy doing it this way. So in the end, we may not be actually benchmarking some games on this because I don't really want to run Windows on it right now. And ooh, it keeps getting worse. I don't think it can regulate the temperature with this driver. I think it's getting a little hot. But, I mean, that's still a much better score there. We'll just do that. There. Close. Quit. So there's the original score. Oops, sorry. There's the original score of 210, where it didn't render anything. Kind of pointless. Yeah. And there's the new score of 2033. Big difference. It's a little bit of a difference. So the other thing I really want to do is run a Geekbench test on this and try to actually try my best, my hardest, to get this to do some OpenCL rendering because, well, you can't do anything but OpenCL on this. This, we could do some metal rendering, but it wouldn't be apples to apples. So let's do some apples to apples. Okay, you're going to love this. I downloaded Geekbench 5 because that's the only thing that will run in High Sierra. And if you go to compute, see, there's our two GPUs. We use the compute API OpenCL, and we can't even choose the HD 3000 because it's so bad it apparently can't compute. So there's not much of a point in running the compute benchmark because it will be the same as the 2012 MacBook Pro with the same card in it, which defeats the purpose of actually running this whole program. Yeah. Well, that's something to know now. The HD 3000 is so bad we can't even do apples-to-apples comparisons with it. Yes, Steam does still work with High Sierra. This is actually the oldest macOS that now supports Steam, and it still works totally fine. We are downloading 2 games that I actually have that work on a Mac. I don't know if they'll work. We'll find out. Pretty sure Stanley Parable will. Tomb Raider, on the other hand, I never even played, nor do I know how to benchmark it. I just happen to have it from back a long time ago. So it's convenient I have it. So we'll install them and see what happens. Okay, so we'll start with the Stanley Parable. None of this matters. Spoiler alert, none of this matters. You know what? Let's see what we can do here. Do 8 times. High. Leave VSync on, otherwise the screen will get mad. I am playing this with a trackpad. This should be interesting. Begin game. It loads fast. That's impressive. Or not. It's still loading. There it goes.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Let's see if it's rendering anything.
Stanley worked
It's
for a
rendering.
company in a big building where he was
That's a good sign. And this is maxed out quality settings.
employee number 427's job was...
So, let's just do a quick game. Ooh, it's... Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, it's...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
It's got
Stanley decided to go to the
some
meeting room.
lag.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
But I think that's just because it's running through Thunderbolt. It's still not awful.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business...
Yeah, it's got some lag.
Open door on his left.
But it's still... yeah... Oh no, it's usable, it's playable. So...
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story...
Oh, I missed.
In his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do...
Yeah, it's a little laggy. Let's speed this up.
I'm not your enemy, really.
Oh, I
But in his
fell off
eagerness to
again.
prove that he is in control of the
Yeah,
story...
you need to shut up.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Let's do this one.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly.
As it plays, it
Perhaps
gets
he was stopped by
smoother.
the employee
It's
lounge
not
first,
it's
just to
not
admire it. The lounge
really
was sublime,
lagging
a work of
much.
art, but eager to get back to
It's
business,
loading up
Stanley took
fine.
the
It's
first
playing
open door on his
fine.
left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Why would I have ever...
Can you
said
tell
this
I've played this game a lot?
What was I thinking? It's clearly... Our story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
It looks really good.
Okay, we just have to get back to, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Anyway, guys, you get the
I
idea.
definitely restarted.
It's working. It's playing fine.
Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change it?
So, yeah, it's not even getting warm.
Did you move the story?
The system's still running very well. It's still on the desktop.
I'm the one who wrote the story. Was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure.
So-
It's here somewhere.
So now let's try the Tomb Raider. I've never even tried it.
Come, Stanley.
So,
Let's find the story.
I mean, this is working fine. It occasionally has a stutter, but I think it's just because of, it's working fine. And it's playing at maxed out settings. So, I mean, this isn't a very, labor-intensive game, but it's still a good example there. So, anyway, let's skip to the next game. So, hi. We ran into a problem. System went into sleep. When it went into sleep, it turned the top screen off. When we took it out of sleep, the top screen didn't turn back on. And now the system thinks that the GPU is enabled when it's not enabled. I managed to get it to actually work again, by unplugging everything and plugging everything back in after completely resetting the whole GPU itself. And now there's no graphics acceleration on the top screen. So now I'm uninstalling Purge Wrangler, which is a problem in and of itself because it re-enabled SIP, so now I have to re-disenable SIP, which I'm doing right now, and then I have to reinstall Purge Wrangler, reboot it, and pray it fixes everything. So let's see what happens. Not so neat. It's running Tomb Raider. I don't see anything. And man, is that screen discoloring. I don't think Tomb Raider likes eGPUs. But there's one other way to see if that's the case. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Tomb Raider just does not like eGPUs, apparently. This is still working fine on Stanley Parable, so, you know, I have no clue
To go to the meeting room.
what is going on. So, yeah, go figure. We'll try one more time with Tomb Raider. If it doesn't work, we'll wrap up the video. I realized I have Firewatch. You can't see this on the camera because the refresh rate's the same with the flickering that's going on. It's flickering really bad, and it's not working. Yeah, you guys can barely see that. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's just try to play something. It's not a good sign. Wow, that's not good. And I can't skip it either. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you guys can't see the flicker because it's bad. It's like really bad. Wow. It's worse. I mean, it's a game. Oh wow. Yeah, that's definitely not playable. And we'll just yes. Yeah. Well, here's what I didn't see working. I haven't played this game in 6-7 years. It's been when it came out, basically. But yeah, let's load one of my old saves in 2015. It's been a while. It's not really sure if it's working well. We'll see. And I had to pick the game that purposely has glitches in it, so I don't know when it's actually a real glitch or not. Yeah. It's the only other 3D game I have that works with a Mac that may actually work on this. I think it froze. Oh, no, maybe. Did it freeze? Well, that doesn't shock me at all, honestly. Oh, no, it's still loading. Yay. Boy, is it taking its time. Any day now. Oh, no. That's slow. That's really slow. Uh-oh. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say this game doesn't work either in any way, shape, or form. By now it should be doing something. Hey, yeah, whole system's frozen, locked up. Yeah. So the system was so frozen that I could actually try to get it to log out. It wouldn't log out, and as we can see, after I force restarted it, yeah. And here's the big thing. GPU is still connected. Yeah, it's very connected. Great. So wrap up, guys. Should you run an eGPU on your 2011 Mac? Any 2011 Mac? No. No, don't even try it. Wow, it's been such a nightmare. After that crash happened, I spent another 15 minutes or so reinstalling everything 3 times before this screen came back on. It's super unstable, and it just doesn't work well. You should never mix metal and non-metal GPUs, ever, because bad things happen in macOS, and there's a lot of game glitches that you noticed. The only thing that worked was the Stanley Parable. Everything else sort of tried to work. It didn't, but it tried. It's so sad that the first year Thunderbolt Macs are pretty much useless with eGPUs. From my experience, yeah, don't do an eGPU. Bad things, like I said, happen. The problem is now I want to do a part 5. Before I send it to Colin, and this has become a really big series, I want to see what happens with Windows, because I don't think this would be a problem in Windows. In fact, you might be able to turn off the other screen in Windows, and it would just probably work. The thing is, this is a Mac, and my goal was to make it work as a Mac. And so far, as you saw in this video, it does not work well in any way, shape, or form. It's a nightmare. And I'm afraid to know what happens when this thing restarts again, because I modified the settings again a little bit this time to see if it would make it more stable. I disabled all legacy drivers for the eGPU. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to restart it real quick, and we'll come back to this, and if there's no screen, you'll know why. So let's do it. No. So guys, maybe that was the problem. I'll be right back in a second, guys. It's unexpected. So yeah, no. Removing the legacy drivers did actually make it a little more stable for rebooting and stuff, maybe. But yeah, it didn't fix the games. So I'm going to rephrase what I said a little bit earlier. A little bit. Should you do an eGPU on a 2011 Mac? Probably not if you want a game on it, because it's not very stable. But if you disable the legacy AMD drivers when you set it up, aka if you don't plug this thing in when you're setting it up and you manually set all the options, it's stable. I've restarted it multiple times. It's just working. I don't think it actually would have improved any of the games otherwise, though. And it's still, only thing good for it would be to compute in High Sierra. And what are you going to be computing in High Sierra? Yeah. You know, it's, at this point, a 6 operating system, old operating system. Yeah, it's useful still, but not as useful as it used to be. So, yeah, should you do an eGPU on a 2011 Mac? No, I wouldn't. Could you? If you're running High Sierra, you might find something that works with it. Should we run Windows on this in part 5 and then do the DOS do one in part 6? I'm kind of getting sick and tired of this series. But I kind of want to do it. It could work and it could not work. I'm leaning towards it would work, but I don't know. So in part 5, we'll be running Windows on this system. As much as I don't want to, but I need to know if it works in Windows and if it works well in Windows. I'm already regretting this decision. So in part 5, we'll try this eGPU in Windows, which means I need to format the drive again. I don't know what would be the best stability-wise. I'm thinking UEFI Windows, but I don't know if that will work with all the drivers. And I still haven't played around with OpenCore enough to figure out stuff with Windows. So, yeah. Was this a success in demonstrating the eGPU on a 2011 Mac in general? Because this should happen on any 2011 Mac, including the minis, or even an iMac. If you have the old metal, non-metal GPU in it, this might actually work fine with this, with the metal GPU. But, yeah. It's, woo. And that's another thing. This has an NVIDIA chip in it on this card, and you can't mix the two drivers on later OSs either, in my experience. So it might not work anyway. It's a crapshoot. Yeah, it's some strange conclusion. Does this work? Kinda. Should you do it? No. Can you do it? Kinda. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say. We need to do a part 5. I don't want to do a part 5. I want to see if this would work in Windows and if it would work well. And I'm leaning towards it would work in Windows, but it might still not work well. So I'll have to learn how to do UEFI Windows on an older Mac. Not looking forward to that. So anyway, guys, That's the end of today's video, and thank you for watching. Don't forget, I do now have a Patreon. If you'd like to support me, there'll be a link at the end of the video and also in the description below. And we also now have memberships on this channel. And the neat thing is now both Patreon and the channel memberships can see these videos at least a day early, if not earlier. Plus, you can still get behind the scenes stuff in the membership stuff. But you also get like name in the credits and stuff for Patreon. So, you know, it's whatever you want to do. If you'd like to help support me, I'd greatly appreciate it. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. And this has been a Hrutkay Mods video. So I have spent the last like 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that, trying to install Windows with this. And then I tried to install it with a DVD, and I also figured out that the DVD drive doesn't eject. Well, I actually did that time. I'm shocked on that because I've ejected it probably 3 or 4 times at this point. But it finally ejected. That's nice. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get Windows on this thing. I don't know why it won't work. I'll try one more time, but there may not be a part 5 of running the eGPU in Windows. So if there isn't a part 5 in this, it will be a DOS Dude video. So either way, there will be a part 5. It just might not be the one I originally planned. Hello, I'm Greg Hrutkay of Hrutkay Mods, and welcome to another... Yeah, it's not going to work.